I was once with a priest, a Catholic priest. He's a brother, if I say. We were meeting in a country somewhere. He lives in the West. There is a church he leads. He told me a story that amazed me, but it saddened me at the same time. He was in the city. He was in the city, the capital city of that country. Around 2 in the morning, 2-3 in the morning, he was praying in the church. Though he's a Catholic priest, he's very charismatic, a man of prayer. So we were talking. He told me that he had someone knock. And he opened the door. He found that there was a young girl coming from these countries, Rwanda and Burundi. She entered that church. She was crying out. And the priest had her seat. And he asked her, what's the problem? And she said, speak quietly. But when he saw her, he could relate. He cried and hugged her. She said, I wrote to someone I didn't know so that I may come to the West. They told me they would pay for my scholarship. This is what happened to this lady. She got a visa with no problem and went. When she got to that European country, she was received by a man who told her, I was the one who was emailing you. He took her. It was the first time she was reaching in that country. She didn't know where they were going. He took her to her house. It was a skyscraper. When he took her to that building, she found other people, other 2 men. They took the girl. They covered her face. They took her to a room. Took her to a room where she found dogs fornicating with girls. She found many girls from Africa prisoners in that house. They told her, this is your scholarship. She screamed. And they told her, you are here, you might as well face it. Day and night. The rich of that city would bring their dogs. And they would rape the girls. And everyone would scream in the language of her country. She went through so much pain because the dogs would sleep with them every day, every moment. These dogs would be brought by the rich, the great policemen, the great leaders, to see how their dogs take pleasure in African women. She cried. And she lived that life for 3 months. But there were others who had spent so many years there. So this girl, I don't know how she thought. In the night around midnight, she found every door closed and saw a small window. She took her shoes and hit the window, and the window was broken. When she checked, she saw a sign of the cross that was fiery across. But it was so far. She looked at this sign of the cross, a cross of fire in the night. They were on the 3rd floor. She said, ngiye kugwa hasi.
I'm going to fall.
Ndaca muri aka kadirisha.
I'll go through this window.
Niture hasi.
And I'll fall down.
Kuko ubuzima ndimo ni bubi kuruta ubwo ngiye kubona.
Because this life is worse than falling down.
Umukobwa niko yabigenje.
So this is what she did.
Yinjiza umutwe muri ka kadirisha gato yamaze kumena.
She entered her head in the window.
Aratibuka gwa hasi.
And she fell down.
Aramanuka.
She fell.
Yikubita kuri kapo y'imodoka ari hasi.
She fell on the back of the car.
Ntiyagira icyaba.
Nothing happened to her.
Hari kuri etaje ya gatatu hejuru.
It was a third floor.
Noneho arareba ndajya ndavahe yarazi icyo gihugu.
So she didn't know where to go. Where will I go? She didn't
Ariko akomeza kwitegereza wa musaraba wari imbere wakaga nk'umuriro mu ijoro.
But she kept looking at the cross which was fiery in the night.
Umukobwa agenda kurikira wa musaraba.
And she followed the cross.
Mu mazu menshi maremare.
In many tall
ijisho rye ryakomezaga rireba umusaraba utukura uriho umuriro mu ijoro.
Her eyes kept focusing on the red cross that had fire.
Ahagenda amasaha abiri.
She went
hari
for
mu
2
mazu
hours.
y'inzitane menshi maremare.
Many tall buildings, she couldn't find
ariko
herself.
ijisho rye ryavuye kuri wa musaraba.
But her eyes focused on the cross.
Akomeza kurikira.
She followed.
Akurikira.
And followed.
Akurikira.
And followed.
Saa munani z'ijoro.
Up to 2 in the
agera kuri
morning.
iyo kiliziya.
She reached the church.
Naho yakomanze.
That's where she knocked.
Ahasanga uwo mupadiri wari musenga muri iryo
And
joro.
found the priest who was praying.
Aramwakira.
The priest received
Mu
her.
gitondo padiri ahamagaye abapadiri bakuru.
In the morning, the priest called other bishops, other priests.
Ababwiye ikibazo cy'umukobwa.
And he told them the problem of this girl.
Ti none
And
tujye
they said,
gucungura abo bandi.
let's go to redeem the others.
Baramureba cyane baraseka.
They looked at her and laughed. And him
Baramubwira
and
ngo uyu
laughed.
niba ari mushiki wawe musubiza iwanyu ariko izo afere zihorere ndizikure.
They said she could be your sister. Return her back to Africa, but the others are none of your business.
We niba udashaka ko ibintu byacu bifungwa byose.
If you don't want everything to drop dead
Ubuzima
here,
bwacu buhagarara.
our lives to be in
Hagarika
danger,
ibyo bintu.
stop what you're saying.
Uwo mugabo yarimo ambwira rero.
So he was telling
Kuno
me
yashakishije uburyo bwose.
that he tried by all means
Acikisha uwo mukobwa musubiza iwabo.
to lead the girl back to her country.
Yarambwiye.
But he told me this.
Natangajwe n'umusaraba wa Yesu.
I was amazed by the cross of Jesus.
N'ubu uracyakiza abantu.
Now it's still redeeming.
Bibiri iravuga ngo mu ijoro Imana yari inkingi y'umuriro Abisirayeli bareberagaho bagakomeza nubwo batari bafite itoroshi n'itabaza mu birenge byabo.
The Bible says that by night he was the pillar of fire that led the Israelites. Even though they didn't have torches, the pillar of fire led them.
Imbere yawe
Before
mu ijoro Imana ihinduka inkingi y'umuriro imeze nk'umusaraba ushobora gukurikira udatakaza iyerekwa ryawe n'icyerekezo cyawe n'umugambi mwiza Imana yagushyizemo. Imbere yawe Imana irahari.